Hey everybody, welcome to etrailer.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at the Konig XG12 snow tire chains here today on our 2021 Volkswagen Tiguan. Now guys, it's gonna be a very nice way of giving yourself a very decent set of chains to go ahead and make sure that you don't get stuck in any of that snow or ice. And of course, just to give you that ease of mind to make sure you have that traction to get home and to your destination safely for yourselves. So, gonna be a very nice little system for yourself. I love the Konig XG12s because when I have to put tire chains on all day, these are the easiest ones to do. That installation, as you guys are gonna see, takes no time at all. The biggest thing for me, I'm staying on the outside of my vehicle, not having to get underneath. And with the Tiguan, that's pretty huge. A lot of the other cables and a lot of the other chains we're trying on here, you have to find yourself underneath the vehicle, which is never fun, but especially when it's low sitting like this, hard to get to, it can definitely be a pain. So I really liked how I didn't have to get on my back and try to scrounge underneath there. I can go ahead, stay in the front of my vehicle, or on the side of my vehicle, I should say, or on the front of the wheel, and make those connections happen. So you guys are gonna see that here in just in a little bit of how we can get this installed. But talking about the chains themselves, you are getting a nice little diamond style pattern here for ourselves. What that means for ourselves, this is gonna be the biggest area that you're not gonna have covered, and that's only because this is actually our connection point. Throughout the sides on here though, this is what you're gonna be seeing, this constant coverage of our chains, kind of going in this pattern here. You get those triangles, of course, and then they actually do have these nice little square links here in the middle, forming that little square. That's gonna be great for puncturing through that thick ice that might be building up. These guys, these cams right here are gonna do a great job of breaking through that, having no trouble of getting on there, as you guys can probably see now. Those guys are awesome at puncturing through that deep snow and ice, of course. And one thing with the diamond style that's great, you're not having to combat these hills and valleys that you might have for some of your more traditional ladder styles. Now, those guys are great for your start and stop maneuverabilities. However, just because you have to kind of overcome it on every time for your turns, you kind of lose a little bit of your radius. What's nice about these, you're having constant coverage, so we're not gonna be feeling those kind of gaps and those hills and valleys as we mentioned. Now, that doesn't mean you're not gonna get good traction. You're gonna get excellent traction because you have so much chain on here for yourself. You're just not going to feel those bumps, and they're just innately what kind of helps the ladder style do what the ladder style does. But the diamond style, great here, and the square links on here are going to be nice because they're not too aggressive here. One thing you have to look out for here in Tiguan is that your shock here is very, very close to your wheel, so not a lot of room for a chain to sit in. So maybe you could probably get a twisted link on here. I'm pretty sure I had a twisted link on here earlier, but a V-bar support system, I think that would just cause too much damage on the inside of the Tiguan. So twisted link is probably gonna be the next step up from this guy if you're needing a lot of heavy duty application, if you find yourself in a lot of snow and ice. Now, for most of us, this is definitely gonna do it. And again, just a nice little option to have in the car if you do need to stay state legal as well. As you know, they're actually gonna do the job, which is awesome for ourselves. One thing that's really cool too, it is self-tensioning. You kind of will probably break that down in the installation as well. But I like the self-tensioner ones. They just give me more peace of mind that it's gonna be staying on our vehicle, which is awesome. Konig, of course, kind of always known for their nice tire chains for ourselves. Well, that installation doesn't take too much time to do. Now, the one thing I will say to that, we do have it here on the front wheel of our Tiguan here today. It's because most of us are gonna have either an all-wheel drive vehicle or a front-wheel drive vehicle. Make sure you are checking your vehicle's owner's manual guide to make sure you're putting on the correct one as well. But let's go ahead and see how we can get them installed. All right, guys, for our installation, all we want to do is go ahead and lay out our chains like so. What we're looking for here, any kind of kinks in our links that are going to be keeping us from having a nice fit for ourselves. So it doesn't look like we're having any issues here today. And a couple other things we want to look for. Of course, we want to have our smooth side facing us. The reason for that, we're going to go ahead and be throwing this underneath our tire. You guys can kind of see where this gap is going to be. So kind of suppose that we're going to be throwing this under and then bringing this around. So we want these smooth sides actually facing us. On the end here, you guys can kind of see there is going to be these hard points of contact. We don't want this guy pinching, scraping, puncturing, and potentially deflating our tire, of course. So we want to go ahead and make sure that this is what's actually making contact with our tire and our rubber. So to do so, I'm just going to kind of slot everything in here just for a second, and then I can go ahead and grab my chain like so, throw it underneath here and around. Try to get most of this stuff up to the front here. Then I can go ahead and grab my two connection points here, guys. So we're gonna take our plastic covered braided cable and we're gonna kind of just fit it across the top here. And then we're gonna simply slot that guy right in like that. So very easy, we can stay on the front of our vehicle. That's one thing I love about these guys. Makes it very, very easy to set up. And then we just simply want to start getting our chain appropriately set on ourselves here today. So I'm just going to readjust just till we're about right with everything. Now that we are starting to look good, I'm going to go ahead and make my front connection here, guys. So we have these red guys here today. We're going to go ahead, just start with those. I'm just going to go ahead and give myself a little slack here on either end. And I am binding up just a little bit here. So let me go ahead, mess with the back here a little bit, make sure I'm not getting caught up on the inside here. All right, guys, I've gone ahead and finagled the back there to go ahead and make sure that we are properly seated. Then I want to go ahead and make my connection here today. Flip that red marker over to get it in position and start seating it on the rest of our vehicle, or on our wheel, guys, I'm sorry. So already a lot of slack not being let up here in the front. So it is kind of positioning itself here. And we want to take our bottom connection and then just gently set it through like so. Get that in position, and then we can start cranking this guy down. So once we found that good point, we can go ahead and make sure we are seated properly here on our wheel. We have a little bit of slack here, but one thing that's nice about these guys is they are self-tensioning as well. So as we drive, it'll be pulling itself in line utilizing this system. So we can go ahead, grab our bungee cable here, slot it in right to that position, and there we are, nice and installed for ourselves. Well, guys, you saw that installation didn't take too much time for ourselves. I definitely am a big fan of the Konig, as they're very easy just to go ahead, stay on the outside of your vehicle like we mentioned, just get them on there in no time. Especially if you find yourself on the side of the road somewhere having to put these on, definitely gonna be easier than having to scrounge underneath all that snow, and that ice can definitely be a bother. Now, we always recommend to try putting these on a couple times at your garage, so hopefully you guys have the time to get used to your chains. That way you're not watching this video somewhere and trying to get them on. It does come with this nice little case as well, and I actually am a big fan of these cases that this guy comes with. A lot of times they just come with a canvas bag that becomes really easy to stretch and tear and not really be that great. What's nice, get that hard plastic, of course, that's going to be holding up for a while. And it becomes a really nice way to store it inside your vehicle as well. You can actually take these off when they're not in use, even if they are wet and sludgy. You can get them inside of here as well if you need. One thing that's nice about the square links, though, probably not going to find yourself taking them off when you do approach your driveway. That's kind of a big advantage that you might see from some of the more aggressive options out there. Now, it does come with a kneeling pad and some gloves as well. I will say the kneeling pad's nice. It gives you nice little plastic covering from that snow and that ice. However, the gloves itself that it comes with are just little plastic gloves. They really don't do that much. Highly recommend having yourself a little pair of work gloves to go ahead and make sure you're not damaging your hands. And also, it's just cold and wet and just no fun to mess with when you don't have any protection on them. So definitely going to be helpful in the long run. Highly recommend just kind of upgrading from those gloves that they give you. Well, guys, I think that about does it for our look at the Konig XG12 Pro snow tire chains here today on our 2021 Volkswagen Tiguan. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.